and welcome. It is 6:15 p.m. across Cameroon, and we're coming to you live as always from our studios in Douala with the news in English. First punctuation on tonight's edition, the headlines.
Hard times for Cameroonian traders as they lament over border closure between Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea. Their frustrations will have to go on until presidential election is over. Northwest Regional Governor Adolphe Lele Lafrique Chofo-Deben inaugurates 2 kilometers road dug with hands in Santa Subdivision. The action falls under the Community Self-Reliance Initiative. And our special series on President Biya's 40th anniversary in power takes a look at the social upheavals of the regime. The 6:15 news rolls out in a jiffy with anchorman Ntharike Divine Ramsey Jr.
Now, as you heard in the headlines, Cameroonians doing business along the border with Equatorial Guinea say their occupations are currently uncertain after authorities in Malabo ordered a closure of the country's border as campaigns for a presidential election begin today. Malabo says the move is to prevent a disruption of the electoral process and has still not announced a date for reopening of the borders. Here's Gladys Ambo.
It has been hell for Cameroonian traders living at the border with Equatorial Guinea following the border closure on October 25th due to the presidential campaign that kicks off this Thursday, November 3. It's not easy. When the borders are closed, we suffer a lot. To transport goods to Equatorial Guinea is difficult. We are obliged to pass through the bush. We have to feed our families. According to the AFP, many people are taking prohibited routes through the bush to attend to their usual errand at the border town of Kiosi. We are penalized. Without Equatorial Guinea, Kiosi is nothing. You cannot invest millions to sell just 100 francs a day. Amongst us, we simply retail the goods. With the border closure, nothing is working. Equatorial Guineans are maltreating us. They burn our goods and we are indebted everywhere. The border between Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea was closed to equally prevent alleged infiltration groups from destabilizing the election campaign, but the date has not been fixed for the border reopening.
To another border, and this time the Cameroon-Nigeria border. Both countries are currently solidly linked thanks to the inauguration of a newly constructed bridge over the Cross River. The edifice, described as a strong symbol of bilateral integration, was formally inaugurated this November 3 by Cameroon's Public Works Minister Emmanuel Nganuju Messi in the presence of his Nigerian counterparts. The 408-meter-long structure links the localities of Ikok in the Manu and Fum in the Cross River State. Financed to the tune of over 21 billion CFA francs, the bridge is expected to facilitate transport and boost trade exchanges between both countries, which has witnessed a sharp drop since 2019. We have an opportunity now to listen to Cameroon's Public Works Minister Nganuju Messi during the inauguration ceremony.
Cross River. The economic community of African state, the economic community of West African states, long live Cameroon and Nigeria cooperation, long live cooperation, long live Cameroon African Development Bank cooperation, long live Cameroon European Union cooperation, long live Nigeria and Cameroon and their illustrious extensive Paul Anwar Biari.
Our connections have not been the best with that link. All our apologies. Now let's move over to northern Cameroon, where residents have not only been coping with frequent Boko Haram incursions, they now have to be able to bear the activities of ransom-seeking kidnappers. And surprisingly enough, it is now emerging from gendarmerie information and intelligence information, for that matter, that several traditional chiefs across those parts of the country are accomplices. D. Morin.
For years now, communities in Cameroon's northern regions have suffered attacks from violent extremist groups. Mayore in Toujours subdivision has been badly hit with kidnappings for ransom. It is not easy to secure the release of victims as negotiations take days, sometimes weeks, with the kidnappers upping the pressure and threats to obtain the ransom. Teams are usually released unharmed once the demands of the kidnappers are met. However, some are injured and even killed if their families delay paying the ransom. Conscious of the worries of a traumatized population, the third gendarmerie region is stepping in to address the growing phenomenon. They have mobilized security forces of the command unit as part of an operation baptized Adano.
The aim of this important operation is to fight against rural and cross-border criminal activities.
Following reports from the commander of the 3rd Gendarmerie region, some traditional rulers are involved in the kidnapping cases, reason why the population should collaborate and denounce just anyone.
We still observe pockets of resistance of this phenomenon, particularly in Kuboro subdivision.
The 8th phase of the operation baptized Adano has thus been launched with a new strategy in place via hopes that kidnappings and other criminal activities will be arrested in this part of the country.
And as the unending insecurity and ensuing violence continues stalling the execution of government-funded projects across English-speaking Cameroon, locals are increasingly taking matters into their own hands. In Santa, in the northwest region, residents have successfully rehabilitated a 2-kilometer stretch of road to ease the movement of persons and goods. Governor Adolphe Lele Lafrique himself inaugurated the infrastructure this Wednesday in Santa. Here's Sharifa Saleh.
It is the good old spirit of community labor that the people of Santa subdivision in Mezam division are reviving. This 2.5 kilometers road from Presbyterian Church Mbey and the Santa Municipality Slaughterhouse has been dug by the villagers by rudimentary methods.
This very road that you are seeing like this, there was no road here. We have just opened it. It's just a new road that we have created with our bare hands.
This is just one of the 16 community realizations of the Cameroon World Bank Operation Ties under the Social Safety Net Program, which the Northwest Region Governor traveled to inaugurate on Wednesday, November 2, 2022.
This governor designed this project to come to the assistance of the crippled family, the disabled.
We will also put our hands together for help government. While waiting for government to come, we will start to do something.
Through their mayor, the people have been thankful to the initiators of the move.
To the regional coordinator of the Social Net Project, the population of Santa shall forever remain indebted to you for this laudable initiative which has taken Santa Municipality a step ahead in its drive towards meaningful and sustainable development.
Concerned technical ministries have been called upon to step in for maintenance to ensure sustainability.
Throw away now to the Noon Division of the West Region and Kutaba to be precise, where the people of Ngwen Monye say they are victims of first-grade underdevelopment. In fact, they have told a visiting administrative authority that they might no longer be able to cope with ramshackle roads, dilapidated health services, and schools in rickety conditions. Here's D. Morin once again.
This is how bumpy, rocky, muddy, and sometimes slippery roads are in Kutaba, Non Division, West Region of Cameroon. The deplorable state of the roads the population see has completely crippled its economy as it becomes difficult to transport crops from the farms to the markets. Besides this age-old problem, Gwen Mogni, one of the biggest villages in Kutaba, is also suffering from intermittent power failure, absence of potable water, inactive health center, lack of a civil status center, among many others. Problems described as a major hindrance to the development of the area. Inhabitants have expressed frustration. One of the problems is the enclave nature of our village. We also suffer from poor roads, the lone health center in a deplorable state. Most villages here are not connected to electricity. A greater part of the population are farmers. They till the rich soil all day, hoping for better yields, but remained worried on the constant seizure of their lands. I am more concerned with the fact that we have lands, but it's constantly taken from us and sold to others. We want government to come to our aid. Gwen Mogni continue to attract a good number of internally displaced persons from the Northwest region who seem to have comforts in the area. Several other communities like Bororo, Yamba and others cohabit with hopes of building one strong nation, which is Cameroon.
And now officials of several journalism associations in the country are urging officials at the National Communication Council to help facilitate the setting up of an umbrella organization to enable them control entry into the profession. They say journalism across Cameroon is suffering from the work of intruders who are robbing the noble profession in all sorts of mud. Hyacinth Chia from Yaoundé.
Over 2 hours of consultations between members of the National Communication Council and leaders of journalism associations with the overall objective of redressing some of the major irregularities plaguing the noble profession.
To see if we can work with the different associations of the press which we have in Cameroon to be able to help making the press become what it's supposed to be.
An initiative highly lauded by the media practitioners as a step towards the right direction.
It's a wonderful initiative so that we can work together to better the profession within our country.
Among the key issues discussed with the media regulatory body this November 3rd is the dire need of a general and standard platform for journalists capable of flushing out quacks and intruders.
We think that we need an umbrella structure in the country that should be able to bring all the press organs under such structures so that they can better control the entry into the profession in Cameroon.
The economic viability of the Cameroonian press, another major concern.
When it comes to the economic situation of the press, there's very much little to write about. We agree that we need to find ways of ameliorating that.
Aside sanctioning, the media watchdog has also been urged to award pressmen and women who distinguish themselves, working in line with the canons of the profession.
Now, as the cost of beef and chicken record hikes across markets in the country, pig breeders are aiming to take full advantage of the situation by relying on the findings of scientists to improve both on their quality and quantity. Apparently, a solution has been found for them, as Sherifa Saleh has been hearing at a workshop in Douala.
Roast pork is a very lucrative business in Douala. Despite the very high demand of pork, quantity and quality remains a major problem.
We understood that it's really important to change the breeding method in Cameroon. Their method compared to ours is two different things. At its very reduced quantity is obtained from us.
Gathered in Douala on November 2, 2022, stakeholders of the livestock sector will lay the groundwork for a new technology for which Cameroon will be the pioneer in Central Africa in terms of pig insemination.
I believe that on the will of our ministry and the government, we will be able to allow each breeder to have access to this technology for a small sum. Today, the bag of seeds costs 47,000. We will be able to bring the price to 15,000.
When this new technology will be introduced, Cameroon hopes to improve on the quantitative and qualitative production of pork within the Central African sub-region.
Now, on our special page in the lead-up to the commemoration this weekend of President Paul Biya's 40 years at the helm of the state of Cameroon, we shine the light tonight on the social tensions that have marked his reign. And Hyacinth Chia says in the following appreciation that the series of upheavals have mostly emanated from disgruntlement over rising costs of living and unemployment.
The 40 years of Biya's regime has been punctuated with series of social uprisings from the four cardinal points of the country. According to this historian, Confidence Ngam, the 1984 revolt was the baptism of fire for the Biya's government.
Coup d'etat imposed a new structure of governance and made him what would think more about social tensions between, you may call it tensions between the North and the South, tensions between the different social working groups like the health sector, like the education sector.
The university strike actions of the 90s that equally shaken the social peace of the country, but later paid off with the creation of other state universities like Douala, Boya, Chang and Yaoundé too. But the grooming of many jobless youths in such institutions equally added flames to the 2008 hunger strike, with most of them taking to the street to pour out their frustrations.
In their number who thought that they were not integrated into the realm of governance, youth in their numbers who thought that they were suffering from tribalism, they were suffering from ethnicity, they were suffering from nepotism, were accompanied by the general hunger strike, call it the rising food prices internationally, to go to the streets. And for the first time, the CPDM government under President Paul Biya was brought to bear.
The outburst of the teachers and lawyers strike actions in November 2016 in the Northwest and Southwest regions with socio-economic demands, which today has taken a political twist, is for sure one of the biggest upsets of the Biya's reign in Cameroon. And as the regime clocks 40 this November 6th, historians warn that to rescue the country from future social upheavals roaming around the corridors, the head of state must embark on urgent actions to cement national unity.
What he needs to do is to make sure that if what was called in the 1990s Sovereign National Conference was necessary, this time around is urgent, because the people of Cameroon from north, south, east and west need to come together. They need to reason together and to talk to see how they can protect this great triangle. So I feel that the president needs to bring people so that we'll not hear about Tongtina, we'll not hear about Sardina, we'll not hear about the Sawas, we'll not hear about that. People need to know that there is no central periphery divide that tries to push Cameroonians into the extremes of maybe violence or so.
These by equally considering the multicultural and linguistic diversities as an asset of social cohesion.
And that's all we could be able to put together for you tonight. There's more news coming up at 1950 in French with Alain Ghislain Kanga. Right ahead, Lil Pedro discusses the elections in next door, Equatorial Guinea, and the reasons for the border closure. Thanks once again for watching. Catch you same time, same place tomorrow.